What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Joel Friday TV. I am Joel Friday. Welcome to the show. A few announcements before we get started. Hit that like button, smack it. Later, smack that and like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we get the subscribers up and a message out. Do it now. Help a brother out. As you guys know, we are live Monday through Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And at any point during the show, you can call in at 888-775-3773, 888-775-3773. And we can get into whatever is on your mind. Whatever you thinking about, whatever you want to talk about, whatever it is, we can get into it. I'm happy to get into it. So you can call in. I don't know if I mentioned, but make sure just keep in mind that I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and punchy.tv. I don't know if I said that. Sometimes I go on autopilot with the announcements. But we are on all those platforms, and as you're watching, you can call in. And if for whatever reason you can't call in, but you still have a question or comment, or you just want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV, or go directly to the YouTube live chat, hit the super chat button there, send your question or comments in, and I'll read them live on air. Amazing stuff. What's today? Today's Tuesday. What does that mean? That means True Crime Tuesdays. It's True Crime Tuesdays. Listen, I want to talk. All right, True Crime Tuesdays. We usually on Tuesdays, we just get right to it. We just get right to the story. Right? I want to talk about it. Ted Bundy. Listen, this is my question. For all people, are you people who have children, people who want to have children, are you raising a Ted Bundy? I'm just wondering, I'm asking, and I'm going to tell you why I'm asking. I'm going to tell you why it's important that I'm asking. Because I want to talk about Ted Bundy, okay? Listen, most of us know the story of Ted Bundy. Most of us know how Ted Bundy was executed in jail 1989, and how Ted Bundy killed a bunch of women, did crazy things with a bunch of women, and the whole story. But some of us don't know all the details. Some of us maybe forgot the details. And I want to get into the details and talk about how this happens and talk about how it relates to today's society. Listen, I got so much to say. So we're going to get right into it. And then after, I shall get to your super chats and your calls and all that good stuff. But I'm going to just breeze through the story of Ted Bundy. And we're gonna get into it, all right? Because what is important to me about Ted Bundy's story, what is most important to me is his upbringing. This is what my main focus is on today, is Ted Bundy's upbringing. That's what is priority to me. Because it's not about what he did. It is about what he did, right? But how did he get there? Because when you get to the how, then you could prevent, right, things from happening. You can learn how not to go down the same path, or recognize when you see somebody going down a similar path, and you can stop it before it gets out of control. That's what I like to get to. So let's talk about Ted Bundy's upbringing, okay? First things first. Ted Bundy was born to a single mother. Okay? But before I say that, just a reminder, Ted Bundy was responsible for murdering up to 30 women. Some believe that he maybe did even more. He was in jail and then he got executed in jail, right? But he was responsible for 30 admitted murders, but there could have been more over a certain amount of time period. So keep that in mind. But let's get into the details here, okay? So Ted Bundy was born to a single mother. Okay. At that time, this was like 19 40 something. I think 46 when he was born. 1946. Okay. Something like that. 46, 47. He was born to a single mother, no father. Back then at that time, like we've heard Jesse Lee Peterson say, back then at that time, it was a shame to be born out of wedlock, right? It was an embarrassment to the people around you, and just embarrassment at that time to be born out of wedlock. It wasn't accepted. So what happened is when Ted was born by his mother, they had to move away, right, to save the embarrassment of the family. So they moved away, and they moved in with Ted's mom's parents, so Ted's grandparents, right? Ted never knew his father, never knew. So first detail there, Ted never knew his father, never got to know him, never even knew who he was, okay? Ted's mother, right, moved in with the parents and Ted was told by the grandparents and the mother that Ted's actual mother was his older sister, right? That was the story that was told, right? So Ted, all that he knew was being raised by his grandparents and his older sister, not even knowing until he grew up that his older sister was actually his mom, right? So in Ted's mind, as a kid, he had no parents, right? Just his grandparents. And from the beginning, there were early signs that Ted was showing this boy was crazy. Early signs, right? And I know y'all be telling me that all kids are innocent, or all kids are from are beautiful and all this stuff. I'm gonna tell you guys some examples. Listen, or some people would tell me like, why does God let certain children die? Right? Why does God allow that to happen to children? Because in most people's mind, everybody thinks children are just pure. Children are innocent, but they're not pure. I'll tell you that. They come out the womb, they are not pure. They're innocent because they don't know much, right? They don't know any better. So they're innocent, right? They're not intentionally trying to cause any harm, right? Or any of that, right? But they are not pure. I tell you that. So Ted Bundy, even at an early age, young, 3 and on, right? At one point, one of his aunts said that she woke up in the middle of the night with knives around her bed, and Ted Bundy was standing over her smiling, and he was like 3, according to some reports, right? He was like 3 or something, right? Really young. And he over there smiling over his aunt with knives surrounding her bed, right? For one, how's a 3-year-old that quiet? And for two, how does he gather that many knives around the bed, right? Boom, that should have been a sign right there. Let's throw, look, we got to throw this baby out. That should have been a sign right there. He got to go. That's it. We got to start anew. Nah, I'm playing. But that was the first thing that happened. And then as he starts growing up, according to reports, he would start killing animals, right? Which is like a typical sign of serial killers, right? They kill animals. And he would like, he took I think it was a bunny or something like that, a rabbit. I forgot what the exact animal was. I think I have it here. Let me see. He took some type of animal and hung it on a clothesline, right? Wrapped it around the neck, hung it on a clothesline, and set it on fire, right? Just doing weird stuff with animals, right? He did that. And then he also used to lure like young kids into the woods, strip them naked, and like terrorize them, right? And they would say that they could hear the kids screaming and running out of the woods and all this kind of crazy stuff, right? And nobody at the time apparently weren't really doing anything about it, right? They were just, maybe seeing him as this troubled kid, but they didn't make any big deal about it. Well, then as he gets older, he starts to develop this like this lustful desire gets stronger for ladies, right? So he would like go into the trash cans of like departments, like police departments around the area, and try to dig up like photos of like deceased corpses of women, right? Just weird stuff, according to reports, right? So he's doing all that and just showing all this kind of weird things. And a lot of this stuff was admitted by him in the courts, right? And a lot of this stuff was testimonies from family and friends as well. But he admitted to a lot of this stuff. And also, at one point in his teenage years, he would get really drunk and he would go and like look into women's windows, right? And just try to look at women as they're changing and getting undressed and all that stuff, right? He would try to like peep at them. And he would just do weird things. And then eventually, and nothing was being said and done at this point. So eventually, fast forward, he grows up, becomes an adult, he gets into a relationship. Now, I just imagine at this point, he's seeing that he's weird. He's recognizing that he's weird. And as you grow up being like an outcast, you start to like find ways to fit in with society, right? Because you want to be accepted and you want people to love you and you want to try to live a normal life because you know whatever you're doing is wild and crazy, right? So he tries to live a normal life. He gets in a relationship. He meets this lady who has money, right? She's well off, come from a wealthy family. And he's always been poor, so he's attracted to this lady. He gets with her and loves her so much, right? And they fall in love, but she eventually realizes she doesn't love him as much as he loves her. And they break up, right? Because she says that he wasn't ambitious, right? He wasn't ambitious enough for her standards or whatever. And he takes it hard because he planned to marry her, right? He takes it hard. He's heartbroken. They break up. He moves on. What does he do? He does what the average person does. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna just show the world that I can make this happen. So he goes, works hard. He actually tries to. He gets into politics, becomes a Republican. Gets into politics, becomes a Republican, right? And gets a good job and is working with this on this campaign to make this person at the time become governor, right? So he's making good money and he has these plans and ideas. He meets another woman and now he's the guy, right? Now he's the guy, the woman that he meets, this new woman that he meets falls in love with him and loves him more than he loves her type of thing. And now he's feeling good. He's feeling like the guy. And he's ambitious now. And then he goes back to California and he goes and finds the previous girlfriend, the one that dumped him, and gets back with her and they stay together and she finally says that she wants to marry him and then he breaks up with her. So I say all that to say that he only got back with the ex as a means of revenge for what she did to him, right? She broke his heart. He made this money, got back with her, wanted to prove to himself, and he said this, he wanted to prove to himself that he had the money, that he can marry this woman that divorced him, and as soon as she said she would, he left her and never spoke to her again, right? He seeked revenge. So there's all these little signs, just little weird things he was doing, right? It is unclear by the reports when he started killing, at what age did he really start like killing people and kidnapping them and doing all the things that he was doing. It's unclear what age he actually was, but the actual recollection of when he started killing was like in his 20s, right? But there was this one time, right? He was already in the midst of killing. He was already doing certain things with women and stuff like that. And he had a younger cousin, right? And his younger cousin, according to reports, she was saying this about Ted Bundy. They interviewed her and she said that my only memory of Ted was always being a nice guy. He used to bring groceries to my apartment with my roommate, to my dorm room with my roommate, and he would always give us free groceries and kind of hang out. He was always just a fun guy, and he used to take me for drives around in his little bug, his Volkswagen Bug. And she didn't know at the time that women died in that car. She said she was grossed out, blah, blah, blah. And then and then she was like, but there was one instance to where I found something he was doing to be extremely weird, right? And she says that one time he had brought groceries over to her and her roommate, and they were all hanging out, having fun. And then she turned on some music, and she turned around, and Ted and her roommate were slow dancing. Now, mind you, back then, slow dancing at the time was not a sexual thing. It was not like I think it was more like a proper thing, right? Like, they weren't backing it up on each other. You know, now we back it up. You know what I mean? We twerk. Well, I'll say we, but twerking is the thing now, right? You don't even look at each other in the face now. It's not how it goes now. It's different. But back then, it was more like a romantic thing, more like respectful. You didn't necessarily have to like each other to want to slow dance. It was just like a thing you did. You know what I mean? Your grandparents slow danced type of thing. Well, anyway, she turned around. She saw Ted Bundy slow dancing with her roommate. But she said that as he was looking down at her, she said that he had this evil smile on his face and this anger in his eyes, and he looked like a totally different person. And he looked like he wanted to kill her. And so she screamed and said, "Ted." And he didn't say anything, right? He just kept slow dancing. Right? And she kept screaming at Ted, and he wouldn't say anything. And then he snapped out of it and said, "I have to leave. And rushed off and left. So this man was weird. He was cooked, right? For a long time. And after that, this is when the killings started to pick up. And I'm not going to get into all the killings because I mainly just want to make a point about his adolescence. But a lot of the times just to summarize really quick, is that Ted went to jail, right? Eventually he was caught on, charges for these things. He goes to jail. Ted escapes jail. The man escaped, right? Jumps out a window, hurts his ankle. Boom, ankle is hurt, right? He's down about 6 days, gets pulled over, and the cops bring him back to jail. Lawyers tell him, "Boy, don't do that no more. You need to chill, relax. We're trying to help you out here, but you can't be running away." He's like, "All right, bet." Does it again. He escapes again. What's wrong with the jail that this man isn't escaping, right? So he escapes. He cuts a hole through the ceiling, crawls through the ceiling, gets away again. This time when he escapes, they can't find him. He ends up going to Florida, right? And he kills 4 women, 4 young ladies from the ages like 19 to 21. Just brutalizes them in a dorm room, does all kinds of crazy things. I have some details here. I could probably read them. I'll read them, but I'll try to clean them up because this is so interesting to me. Because he wasn't just regularly killing, like he was really like disturbed person or an evil guy. It says, according to reports, in the early hours of January 1978, 1 week after his arrival in Florida, Bundy entered FSU's sorority house through a rear door. At 2:45 a.m. in the morning, he bludgeoned Margaret, age 21, with a piece of oak firewood as she slept. He then entered the bedroom of 20-year-old Lisa Janet and beat her unconscious, strangled her, tore one of her, I don't know if I can say that word, nip, off, bit deeply into her. Okay, I can't get to all these details, but sexually assaulted her, and did all kinds of crazy stuff, right? He then went into the bedroom and attacked Kathy, age 21, breaking her jaw and lacerating her shoulder, and then went to Karen, age 21, who suffered a concussion, a broken jaw, loss of teeth, and a crushed finger. Two of the girls survived and went on to tell the story. He did all this. All this was done within 15 minutes, and nobody heard a sound. How? How is that possible? How is that possible? Within 15 minutes, he did all that. He did all that to those four ladies, and nobody in the dorm room, in the other dorms, heard it. He knew what he was doing. He was very tactical, and he was very sharp in his pursuit. So this man was like top tier serial killer, right? And I say all that, and then he goes back to jail, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to give all the details. Go back to jail. Eventually, they execute him in 1989. And so and so. Mind you, he got married in jail. He was married in jail to a lady who they met before he went in jail. They got married, and she had his baby. Crazy stuff. It's a crazy story, right? But up there with Dahmer, doing weird, crazy things to women, just mentally disturbed, messed up, just no shame, just caught up and possessed by a demon, right? We see these stories, we hear about these stories. The reason why I bring it up, and then I'm going to get some calls and super chats. The reason why I bring this up is what? I want to talk to the mothers right now, just for a second. The mothers, the ladies today who want to have these big careers and be these boss babes and also want to be mothers and have children. Listen, when I tell you. Now, mind you, there's always exceptions to the rule, to where sometimes certain circumstances may call where you have to do what you have to do and you're just doing the best. There's exceptions to the rule, right? Very few exceptions to the rule, though. But on a mass scale, any lady or any mother who is trying to have it all, you're making a huge mistake. Because I think that most people don't realize that any neglect of your child can cause a Ted Bundy effect. Any neglect. I'm telling you. Because parents don't really understand. People don't really understand. That's why people just be having children just because it's willy-nilly on accident. They just be doing all kinds of stuff. And I understand it's human nature. We get selfish. We get caught up in our own desires. And we just, make mistakes. I understand that. But I think that we just got to really be aware and conscious of what that means. Okay? Any neglect of your children, any kind of way, can turn them into anything crazy, anything. Because in those very, I think it's I don't know how many years before the mind is truly developed as a kid, right? But those formative years as a child, you got to remember, Satan is on the attack at all times on your child. Why? He goes after the children because their minds are very fragile. He's right on the children, right when they come out the moon. The devil is. He's right on them because he knows that he can influence the children if there's no protection from the parents, if there's no covering of the parents. He can do it. He will do it. He has done it. And if you think as a mother, right, that it's okay for other people to raise your children because you want to have all these different things, you want this lifestyle, you want it all, or whatever the case may be, whatever things you have to justify, right? And it may seem intentionally good. You may have the best intentions. But if you are not raising your children and not giving your children the proper care, you and your husband doing it the proper way, your children are cooked. They're done. They're done for. There's sacrifices that must be made as mothers and fathers, period. You got to make them in order to raise decent children. And you got to care enough to make those sacrifices. If you don't, you're cooked. That's why I say some parents need to go to jail. Because they're too careless. And you guys be mad at me. You guys be mad at me when I say that, send parents to jail. Parents are too careless about their children. And there's a trend. Just do what you want, live what you want, government assistance. It's too wild and reckless. And then when they grow up and they become serial killers or school shooters, and then we want to blame the children for it. Oh, well, they're old enough to make decisions. Yeah, in some degree, they're conscious enough of their decisions once they hit a certain age. Yes, for sure. But who's responsible for how they think this way? Right? The parents for not protecting them, teaching them the right way. And parents don't be caring. Because we as people, just in general, human nature is selfish. It doesn't care about people. It doesn't care about things. That's why we have to overcome, right? Work on ourselves. We're selfish by nature, and we got to overcome that. But parents need to be responsible. And you think that you're getting away, mothers, talk to the mothers, you think that you're getting away with being able to have kids, have that dream job, have a babysitter, 2-income household, have money in your pocket, vacations, and all this different thing. You think you give your kids stuff and you spoil them with things. They have money and you think they're happy because they have stuff, and you think that they're happy. You think you're getting away with it. You're not. At all. It's a little Ted Bundy in the making. And I ain't saying that to scare nobody, but maybe a little bit. Because children need parents. And I even go as far as to say that it's almost selfish to even have children. Well, I'll save that for another day. That's another conversation for another episode. But those formative years, you're doing a disservice if you even have children, you're not ready. And also, if you're not paying attention to your kids. Mothers, if you ain't in the home raising that kid, and if you even have the idea, if you even have the feminist idea that being a mother at home raising the kids is slavery, then I don't even know what to say about you. I don't even know. Because any lady who doesn't, I'm not saying everybody got to be a stay-at-home mother. I ain't saying everybody, whatever. All right, live your life, do your thing, and learn for yourself. But I'm saying any lady that doesn't have the understanding, or at least just they don't even got to truly know it, right? But they at least just kind of like have an idea, because common sense will tell you that being a mother is one of the most important things you can do. If any woman doesn't even understand just a little bit, it has any disdain for that, I don't want her around me. I don't want it. I don't want it. Why? Because that's not a common sense person, right? Being a mother is one of the most important things, and being a decent mother is one of the most important things that a woman can do is tend to her children, right? Tend to her home. That is the most important thing. If a woman's getting married, if she's getting married, that's the most important thing she is to do as a mother and as a wife, because her children's life depend on it. And if she even has an idea that that means slavery, then you don't want to marry that one. You don't want that one around, because that's not it. It ain't slavery. And if it feels like that, then the man got issues that he got to work on, that where he's making it feel like a slavery. That ain't it. It's a beautiful thing to be a mother and a wife. It's a beautiful thing, and it's not treated as that today. Period. A woman, you tell the average person that do they want to be a mother or a wife in the traditional way, they'll smack you. They'll probably literally smack you. Like, they might like put a hit out on you. When that's one of the greatest things. As a matter of fact, it's designed that way. And I just advise that parents or future spouses, that you consider this stuff, because it ain't a game. Don't have the babies if you can't raise the babies. Mistakes happen. I understand that too. But you better find a way to make it work and be the best father and mother that you can, and sacrifice. Let go of all them pursuits, all that kind of stuff. You had a dream to be a career woman and you accidentally have a baby. Let that dream go. And take responsibility for your actions and do what you can to be the best mother that you possibly can. And God will bless you far greater than the little career that you thought that you wanted. Anyway, I'm done. That was my message for the world. Your children need you. Mothers and fathers. And especially the fathers. That's for another day. We'll get into another day about the daddies. But I just want to talk to the mothers today. Because mothers don't want to be mothers today. And mothers don't want to stay at home today. Mothers don't want to sacrifice for their children. They don't. They want it all. They want everything. But let me get to some calls. I got people on the line that want to get in on this. Let me go to first-time caller Sean out of Florida. Sean, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hi. How you doing?
All is well, Sean. How are you?
Okay. It was a good while back. I just saw a little glimpse of your,
Are you on speakerphone, Sean?
Let me turn it down. Okay, how's it now?
Okay, that's better.
Yeah, I have been intending to tune in to your show, and for some reason today I just wanted to tune in.
Nice.
I want to say that topic that you chose today. May I ask what made you choose it?
Well, every Tuesday I do true crime stories. And I get into different like stories of different people who've done crazy things. But I mainly like to focus on what caused them to turn that way, and their upbringing, and so I bring it back to like a little spiritual message or stuff like that.
Right. So that's very relevant. That's a very relevant topic, what you turned it into, like motherhood and how important it is for this day and time. And because you do hear on YouTube stories, news stories, the young women, a lot of young women of today. One young woman said she don't care about her children. She wants to have a man.
Yeah.
As shocking as that is, that's happening a lot now. And I remember those some of those stories, what you brought up, like Ted Bundy and all, because I was a kid then. And I heard that he actually was raised in a Christian home. And I want to ask you, do you think it just comes down to like choices of the individual? Because they could be raised in a good home, brothers and sisters, and one turn out this way and one turn out that way, like on drugs. And is it like life is about, like, comes down to it, about a choice that each of us make choices?
I mean, I do think that, yeah, there's a possibility that a child can still grow up and make bad choices, even if they had decent parents in the home, because it does come down to the life you want to live. But I say that on a high percentage is in their favor of children who have parents of good character. Nobody's
Right.
perfect, of course. Nobody's perfect, of course. And even if they're in a Christian home or they go to church, that still doesn't mean anything if the parents aren't truly of good character. And if they are, the children have a high chance of just being decent people out in the world.
Right. Because that's a promise in God. If God is a promise keeper, and He instructs you in His Word. It says, "Train up
Yeah,
your children in the way." He said that when they get old, they will not depart from it. He
that's
knows,
that's a good point.
because
Exactly.
I remember Ted Bundy. Part of that story was he was a child. One of the, when you said some of the details to his story, was someone remember him as a child. I think he used to deliver newspapers, and he used to ride a bike. And someone had gotten missing a child, and something, and they found something on a construction site. But someone said that they remember running into him in that area, and they remember as he was an adult, and they were reporting this on the news when they
Yeah.
found out who. They remember his child face in his adult face. So something went on when he was a child that he, was making those choices.
Yeah.
And now today, initially, when I was going to call, I was going to ask you, this is something else, but it's kind of like, do you know the celebrity Shia LaBeouf?
Yeah.
Okay. And you probably are familiar with Hulk Hogan and the
Yeah.
wrestler, and I forget the other man's name. I know Hulk Hogan. They showed a picture of him getting baptized. He actually made a decision to get baptized. But Shia LaBeouf, not particularly having anything to do with this topic, but to me, Shia LaBeouf, he was an actor. And I think he made a decision when all the stuff was happening in the industry, the Hollywood industry.
Yeah.
I think Shia LaBeouf made a smart decision, but he used psychology. Because I'm wondering what had happened to Shia LaBeouf. Last time I heard of Shia LaBeouf, you can look him up. He was wearing a paper bag over his head.
Yeah.
And somebody
Yeah.
doing that type of action, you would automatically think that they're, have a problem.
Yeah.
So said he was complaining about he wasn't famous anymore. And but I think Shia LaBeouf, I think he used that in his own way to get out of the industry, from all the stuff that's going on. And I thought it was a smart move. He didn't put himself in
Yeah.
danger, anything. He just felt like he's gonna miss his fame. But somebody said that he's not big. But there was more
Yeah.
to it that I was going to explain. But when I tuned into your channel, you had such a relevant topic, and I really, thank you.
No problem, Sean. And just a quick point to make about Shia LaBeouf is that Shia LaBeouf is a good example of.
Uh-huh.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, Shia LaBeouf is a good example of people who are in Hollywood and they go through all these different things, and
Mm-hmm.
they hit a brick wall, right? And this is most people just in all just across just life in general, is that they hit this brick wall and they have a choice if they're going to turn to God or continue in
Right.
their mess. And Shia LaBeouf
Right.
seems to me to be one of those
Uh-huh.
people that when he hit that brick wall, he decided to listen and turn his life around. And whether, I mean, nobody's perfect, right? I don't know what his life is turning into, but he looks like he's in a better place. And I think he's one of those
Right.
people that are just trying to do the right thing now. So I have a lot of respect for Shia LaBeouf. Even before then, he always just kind of had some sense in there. He was just a troubled guy. But I think he's trying to do what do his best to get back on track. But I'm so out of time, Sean. I have other people that want to get in on this, so I gotta
Okay.
call me again, and then we can get and maybe a little bit earlier, and we can get more into it.
Okay. And I like Shia LaBeouf too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a nice day.
All right.
Bye-bye.
You as well. Let me just keep the calls moving. Let me go to CSAL to Texas. CSAL, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hey, Joel. Thank you for taking my call. I'm sorry if it's a little loud. We're at the park.
No worries.
Amazing topic, as always, Joel.
Nice.
And I agree completely that the mother's role is extremely important, but I have something to add.
Okay.
Jesus said that we are each other's servants. We are supposed to be the slaves. Paul called himself a slave of Christ. So the mentality of I ain't nobody's slave, I ain't nobody's maid, that's a horrible mentality for a wife, for a mother, for a husband, for anybody. Because we're supposed to serve one another. So a successful, happy, loving, nurturing mother and wife will be a woman and man, a woman that knows that she's the servant and that we're supposed to be. I'm supposed to be the servant of my children, of my husband, of my church, of my family. You know what I mean? That attitude, the attitude that Jesus had. That's what I wanted to
No, and let me just ask you, Cecile, why do you think that ladies don't oftentimes recognize or appreciate that the role of a mother is a honorable thing, and that there's actually a lot that it's very important for one, but also there's a lot that comes from that blesses a lady who takes on that role and has a good attitude about it. Why do they not see it in that way? Why is there such a bad image of it?
Because we compete with men. Because we think that we have to compete with men and that we have to be boss babes. And the demon of Jezebel, the spirit of pride and ego, has lied to us and told us that the last thing you want to do is serve your husband and serve your children. You're supposed to be the boss, and you make the calls and you order people around and you tell people to do whatever for you. It's an upside down world.
Yeah. And there's very few examples of women actually doing it on a mass scale to where they're able to see that this actually does work, and you're happy and you're at peace and there's love in your home. Fair enough, Cecile. Right on, as always.
Yeah. Thanks, Drew.
Appreciate it. Call me again.
Bye.
Nice. Shout out Cecile. Always with the nice female takes. Sometimes Cecile calls when we disagree, though. We disagreed about Halloween. You know what I mean? But no, Cecile has common sense, right? And she's a stay-at-home mother with children and wife, right? She's a wife. So it's always nice to get her perspective on something. So I appreciate it, Cecile. Let me go to Wayne out of Houston, Texas. Wayne, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hey, Joel. How you doing?
All is well, Wayne. How's it going?
Yeah, not bad. I just wanted to comment about the whole situation. That last lady said that we live in an upside down world.
Yeah.
And I think that's the real reason why things are the way they are. For example, you have what's going on here? Okay, we find a girl, we fall in love with each other, we have a kid, and then we break up. You know, that happens too often. What's going on?
Yeah.
It happens over and over again. You find a girl, you madly in love with her, you have a child, and then it breaks up.
Yeah.
So there's something more than just the woman not being the woman she's supposed to be. I think it's more the man not being the man he's supposed to be. For example, with my wife, right? I'm married right now. And many times my wife will get emotional, and she would be like, "Oh, I'm leaving." This is we're going to break up and all that kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't follow her into her world.
Yeah.
I stay in my world, and I just relax, and I say, "Okay, honey, no problem." And then the next day she forgets all about it.
Yeah.
But I think that the mistake that the men are making is because they think women are equal to them, because the society is pushing that, oh, we're equal and we have to submit to each other and all that kind of stuff like that. We cannot submit to a woman, because when you submit to a woman, she's going to lead you to divorce. So you have to not submit to her. And so when she says, she goes, "Oh, we want to get a divorce," blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
She's just emotional about something. And just relax, and, it'll go on. That's been happening. I've been married 24 years now.
Yeah.
And, every 5, 6, 12 months that seems to happen. And I just relax, and next thing I know, we're back together again. So the thing is that men, the society is teaching us that men and women are equal. And we're not. We're not equal. We're equal in a certain sense.
Right.
But then in another sense, the man has a responsibility to be an alpha male who is not emotional.
Right.
And when his wife falls off the rail, he shouldn't follow her off the rail. Otherwise, they end up in divorce.
Yeah, and the women they need their husbands or their fathers to be stable, and that's what that's what men are. Men are called to be stable, make sound decisions, and be unmoving. And we're supposed to be like the pillar for women. So when we're not that, is when they go crazy, because they're looking for their grounding and they can't find it. So then they start making things up, going to work, having children, but not staying home because nobody is grounding them in the truth. And also, I always say too, as well, Wayne, and you can let me know what you think, is that's why it's very hard for men to lead if they don't know themselves, right? And if they don't know themselves enough to know who they are and where they stand in their relationship with God, and have some grounding in that, have some confidence in that. And if you don't, then you are just going to be used by the woman, or you're going to guide her in the wrong direction because you don't really know what is going on yourself.
Yes, I agree with that. I think that women they despise our nature. Men have a different nature to women. Men's nature is completely different. I think, so I'm a Christian, right? And in the Old Testament, the guys had 4 wives. All the forefathers had 2 wives. One guy, David, had 8 wives and all that kind of stuff like that. And then all of a sudden in the New Testament, we only allowed to have 1 wife.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how did that enter? Because I do not see, there is a law in the Old Testament where it teaches you to have more than 1 wife, but I never saw any laws that rescinded that, where it says you can only have 1 wife. As a matter of fact, in the New Testament, it says if you want to be a bishop, you can only have 1 wife. And if you take that in the negative, that you could say, well, if you don't want to be a bishop, you can have more than 1 wife. So women hate our nature, because for their nature, they only want 1 man. And so they have made masculinity illegal. Like, we can have more than 1 woman. And then now, because of that, I think the number one reason why women leave men is because they're very upset, because they know that our nature, because when I see a girl pass by, I'm sorry, I'm going to look at her and I'm going to have thoughts and stuff like that. Not thoughts of sexing her, but I'm going to have, oh, this is a good-looking woman, blah, blah. But I'm not going to leave my wife for every woman that comes around the way. But women think that you want to leave them because you look at some other woman or something like that. And so they just hate our nature.
Well, let me jump in there a little bit too, because just because I'm running out of time here. I think that I agree with you in part. I do think that it is true that if a man is looking, let's just say a man looks at another lady, it doesn't mean that he wants to divorce his wife or leave his girlfriend or whatever to go be with her, right? It's just a little satisfaction in the moment. But that doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make it good. I think that a man should also not have googly eyes, right? And that's what us as men have to work on, is overcoming that lustful desire for multiple things. Because we should have sound mind. And for one, all that stuff is just fantasy based. All that stuff is just trouble, right? And it just and I don't think that it's right that men that what I'm basically saying is you shouldn't justify having googly eyes for other people as, well, I'm not going to divorce. We should overcome that in general.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't have googly eyes. My wife thinks I have googly eyes, but I really don't have in my heart. Because I'm a born-again Christian. I am celibate, apart from my wife. When my wife met me, I was celibate. I don't sleep around with women.
I understand that. And does it, because, right, you're more disciplined. You're not going to actually go and cheat. But do you think that it's okay to be looking around and checking out other women?
No, I don't. Like I said, I don't look around, but my wife thinks I do. I don't.
Okay.
But she's convinced to the T that I do, and then that causes a problem. So I mean, I don't, but she thinks that I do.
But you did mention, I could be hearing you wrong, but you did mention that you kind of, and I understand, listen, I'm a guy too, I understand it, but you said that you do, just because you may look at somebody else doesn't mean that you want them. Is that saying that it's you've done it, or you do it, or you're just saying that, what are you saying?
No, I'm just trying to express it from her opinion.
Okay.
So from my opinion, I'm not looking for sure.
Right.
But when I go to work, she thinks that we have orgies at work. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. And they definitely think
orgies at work, and there's nothing like that going on.
Yeah, they definitely think that it's more than what it is, and that's for them to work on for sure. It doesn't mean that cheating, but I do think that, at the same end of it, men have to learn how to just discipline the eye a little bit. Well, not even,
right, but again,
because you are married.
When did it?
Go
ahead.
No, I just say, because if husbands or men who are married, we have a duty and an obligation to discipline ourselves, right? So we can properly lead. And it doesn't just show, it's not a good display as a man if you're out and you're looking at other women and your wife catches you. It doesn't display manhood, doesn't display leader.
Right. Well, again, that doesn't happen.
Right,
it's all
right.
a figment of her imagination. She has that imagination.
I got you.
Because women think, and they know that men have that kind of a thing in them where most men worship women. You know that.
Yeah.
Most men worship women. Women know that, and so they're afraid that some woman is going to come and steal their man from them. So,
yeah, that's true.
I mean, and then that I think that's the number one cause of divorce.
Yeah. Interesting. You're making a good point though, and I'm not trying to steal that away, because that is true, and that's how the mindset works oftentimes for the lady, and that's something that they have to overcome. Is not they don't want, you don't want to fall into accusing or and all that stuff.
They're supposed to love you as they love Christ.
Yeah.
In other words, they're almost supposed to worship the ground you walk on. They're supposed to love you so much that they have so much faith in you that anything you do, you know what I'm saying? They're supposed to have that love for you, that respect, which is supposed to be natural. It's not something you can command.
Yeah.
But because the world is the way it is, we've lost that.
Yeah, I agree, Wayne. Well, I appreciate it, man. I'm out of time, but
all right, Joel,
good points. And call me again.
Real cool.
All right. Man, Stephanie and Jaden, I'm out of time. I'm only here for an hour, so I can't get to you. And American Anchor Baby Nick is coming in next. So if you guys want to call back for his show, feel free to do that, and he'll take your call if he sees fit. But I gotta end. I think that. Oh shoot, the super chats. I'll get to those tomorrow as well. I'll get to those and blah blah blah. And you can call me back tomorrow if you want to. American Anchor Baby's coming in right now. Like I said, make sure you guys tune in to his show coming up here in 5 minutes. Make sure you guys go check out last Punchy TV episode with Pearl as a guest. You don't want to miss it. If you missed it, what's wrong with you? Go back and watch that. That's a good episode. We had fun. Pearl had a good time. You want to make sure you go back and watch that. Yesterday's episode on Punchy TV on YouTube. All right, y'all. Until next time, I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. Feedback, calls, super chats. Thank you. I will get to those tomorrow. And until next time, I'll see you. Bye.